500 years ago, Lumiere was forced to slay Licht to prevent his body from being possessed by the devil. Seker is filled with guilt as it was her magic device that allowed the slaughter of the elves to happen. However, now it can be used to save the world. She hands it to Lumiere, who manages to suck out a great portion of Licht's magic, allowing him to be slain. Seker seals the devil away, but she knows it will eventually break. As Lumiere bleeds out, Seker uses the remaining magic from the stones to seal him inside a statue. As a side effect, she is transformed into a bird, and spends the next half-millennium waiting for Licht's 5-leaf cover grimoire to resurface. Back in the present, Lumiere and Seker burst in for round 2 against the devil as they didn't hear any bells. Asta is understandably starstruck, but Lumiere and Seker waste no time in breaking the remaining seal on Licht, bringing him back to his old self. As the devil welcomes a second chance to face his old enemies, Licht reassures Patry that he could not have known that this would all happen and tells him that he did his best. Lumiere and Licht begin their assault on the devil, who initially is overwhelmed, and is left with no openings to attack. He manages to slice Lumiere's arm in two, but before he can deliver the finishing blow, Asta is there to parry his trident. Seker heals Lumiere's arm, which the devil derides as worthless before his might. Patry wonders if they can beat the devil, as even with Lumiere and Licht, they are barely scraping by. Licht begins amassing the combined power of the elves. Elsewhere, Yami and Charla are still trapped inside his black sphere, as the swarming aberration soon eats away at his defenses. Suddenly, Charla along with the other elves throughout the labyrinth begin to glow. Their power converges on Licht, who uses it to unleash his ultimate sword magic, sword-conquering Eon. The devil is seemingly vanquished, but to their horror, he simply regenerates himself back to full health. He cannot be killed with magic from this world, so Asta places all his hopes on his anti-magic. Gelder and Rivchai race to find an exit, while Yami and Charla escape unscathed thanks to Licht's attack, destroying most of the swarming mess. Asta's sword begins overflowing with anti-magic, which Lumiere recognizes to be Licht's. Seker explains that in the 500 years since their last fight, another devil placed its anti-magic powers into the sword. Asta manages to destroy a piece of the devil's trident, which causes him to retaliate with even more of the Lovecraftian horrors. Asta is unable to control the sword properly, forcing the others to cover for him to escape. Yuno shows again how he is built different by condensing the traces of light magic left by Licht and Lumiere, creating a wind sword that can damage the devil. Lumiere notes Yuno's use of wind and sword magic and realizes he must be a descendant of Licht and Tesha. Asta soon does the same, and Lumiere is astounded at their staggering rate of growth. Asta and Yuno manage to land a fatal blow, but even though Asta thinks he has stabbed the devil in the heart, it does nothing but anger him, and he begins to get serious. He summons another swirling mass of tentacles, and the mages brace themselves for what is to come. While Licht and Lumiere combine their magic to protect the other mages throughout the labyrinth, Asta and Yuno are left on the attack. Elsewhere, with Charla's assistance, Yami prepares a long-range dark dimension/aim dead center at the devil. Asta and Yuno continue their assault, but Asta's demon mode nears its limit. Although they execute a perfectly timed combined attack, Asta's demon form wears off, cutting his power significantly. However, Yami the absolute madman unleashes a mana zone empowered dark dimension/equinox. The slash travels throughout the entire length of the labyrinth, cutting the devil in two. The nature of Yami's magic prevents him from recovering instantly, giving Asta a crucial opening. Seker, who has watched Asta grow from zero to hero, places her hope in his strength. She heals Asta, allowing him to enter his demon mode once more. Asta delivers the finishing blow, cutting the devil's heart cleanly in two. The devil is slain, but they have little time to celebrate as the swirling mass continues to devour the labyrinth. Voltos uses his spatial magic to gather everyone in one place, which he says is the first step towards his rehabilitation. They make it back to the Clover Kingdom and find it still under attack by the elf incarnates. Patry decides that William's world tree magic is the only chance they have of calming them all down, and he allows Asta to undo the reincarnation spell on him. Patry also says his final goodbyes to Rhea and Licht, and William soon returns. He uses his world tree magic to connect to all the elves throughout the kingdom, and with Asta's anti-magic, he cancels out the reincarnation spell on everyone at once. They all say their goodbyes as they begin to pass on into the afterlife. Charla tells Yami she enjoyed fighting alongside him and remarks she isn't as awkward as Charlotte is. Licht bids Rhea and his friends farewell, but promises to see them soon. Above all, he is thankful to have fought alongside his son. Asta tries to return the grimoire to him, but Licht says it is his now, and asks him to journey with it once more. As their spirits are laid to rest, he thanks the mages of the Clover Kingdom. However, still bitter at Patry's betrayal, Vades uses his reincarnation magic to bind Patry to Licht's body. He says he'll dedicate his life to his vengeance, however he decides to retreat for now. William is happy to be able to meet Patry again, but he asks Yami to take him to Julius' body. Asta and the others accompany Lumiere, whose body begins to break down. Noel is shocked to learn that Seker is actually Nero, but is actually quite perturbed at how cute she is and wonders if she is also another love rival. Seker wishes to accompany Lumiere into the afterlife, but he replies that she still has much to accomplish in this world. He thanks her for giving him another chance to fight for this world, and his body crumbles away. Thus ends a story 500 years in the making, and as Seker joins the Black Bulls, their adventures are just beginning. Julius is still alive, albeit in a smaller body, having stored some magic beforehand as a contingency plan. Although he cannot completely forgive William for his traitorous acts against the kingdom, he asks him if he is willing to serve the kingdom once more. William salutes and says that he will without fail. Later, Julius and Yami gather Asta, Mimosa, Noel, and Seker together to inform them of 3 pressing problems. First, the Wizard King is no more. Despite him being reincarnated, his powers have all but dwindled, and he is nothing more than a young boy. Regardless, it was thanks to Seker's swallowtail device that allowed him to return to life. The second and third problems are related. The Clover Kingdom may be destroyed, Asta may be killed, or both. He explains that in their current state of weakness, the rival Diamond, Heart, and Spade kingdoms may look to expanding their influence towards their borders. Furthermore, because the source of Asta's magic is from a devil, the Magic Parliament, which is the country's highest judicial authority, may use him as a scapegoat for the attack on the kingdom. Elsewhere, Augustus thanks Sek for saving him, even if it was through sheer luck. Anti-monarchist assassins attempt to kill Augustus, but he is saved by Damnatio, who also heads the Magic Parliament. A few days later, the Clover Kingdom is slowly rebuilt thanks to the efforts of the Magic Knights. Asta and Seker are summoned by the Magic Parliament to be interrogated about their involvement in the recent battle. Asta thinks they are reasonable, but he ends up being placed in handcuffs as soon as he and Seker enter. They are accused of colluding with the devil, and the nobles look on at them with distrust. When Asta testifies that the Magic Knights were only possessed into doing evil, Damnatio asks him to provide proof of the devil's existence. Seker keeps Asta from revealing his demon form, but when Damnatio threatens to execute Marie on the spot, Asta transforms to save her. News of Asta's arrest spreads throughout the kingdom, and many are appalled. Vades, Gelder, and Rufchai, who are currently doing community service, are ecstatic and celebrate the occasion. Jack attacks and tells them to get back to work. Asta's explanations fall on deaf ears, and the gallery continues to be hostile on account of his demonic-like appearance and peasant heritage. Damnatio threatens to go after the church in Hage if he does not give himself up, and says that no matter what he does, nobody will save him. But to everyone's surprise, there's one group both stupid and audacious enough to try it: the Black Bulls. They bust into the courtroom to rescue Asta, but Ghosh attacks him because he was holding Marie. Seker is touched that Yami invites her into the Black Bulls, and the others are also in total agreement. He throws a robe over her shoulders, making her membership official. Yami tries to go for Damnatio's head, but he is fortunately prevented from killing him by Nozel and Fugolian, who come bearing an order from the Wizard King. Asta and the Black Bulls are to investigate the demons, and until there is solid proof of his innocence, he will be watched over by the Magic Knights. The crowd murmurs but are inclined to agree, since 2 royals have personally vouched for Asta. This brilliant politicking even catches Damnatio off guard, and he knows his hands are tied. Asta's execution is postponed, and the Black Bulls celebrate. Nozel attaches a tracking anklet on Asta's arm, as they still have to keep up appearances with the other nobles. Damnatio later visits Julius, who calls his judgment into question, but he is eventually forced to respect his authority. Marx rushes into the room shortly after and is greatly relieved to see him alive. He comments that he used to act like a kid, and now he really is one. As they embrace one another, Marx says that Julius has a lot of paperwork to do. While traveling with the Black Bulls, Seker reminisces about her time with Lumiere 500 years ago. After sealing away the devil, Seker travels in her bird form throughout the Clover Kingdom and finds a baby in the small village of Hage. While in Hage, Seker observes the life of Asta growing up with his big dreams of becoming the Wizard King, whose ideals remind her of Lumiere's. Eventually, she sees him grow into a formidable force and plays a vital role in ensuring that Lumiere's visions did not go to waste. As she is uncertain about life without him, she is comforted in the knowledge that she is not alone, as she now has a new family in the Black Bulls. After cleaning up the Clover Kingdom, they return to the spot where the Black Bulls' base was, but they have a problem. Henry has no idea what the base looked like before. They blame him for mixing up the floor plan all the time, but it's because these idiots keep breaking everything. Asta suggests that they each give Henry a suggestion of what they want, and the others agree. While Henry looks over their suggested floor plans, Noel becomes jealous when she realizes that Asta and Seker once shared a room together. Yami hands Asta a net and tells him to go and catch the monsters that escaped from the dungeons. He says that they've been out for weeks and they likely went feral again. He tells the others to split up and find the 3 monsters while he goes to take a dump. In true Black Bulls fashion, none of them get any actual work done. Asta and Noel are left alone after Seker takes to the skies to search for the monsters, while Magna and Luck end up sparring with one another after so long. The 3 Gs, Gauche, Gordon, and Gray, find the monsters in a corner of the forest. But Gordon and Gray cower behind Gauche, preventing him from casting any magic. Charmy and Vanessa end up having a picnic, leaving only Finral wanting to get the job done. However, they are picked off one by the monsters, leaving them with slobber all over. Asta and the others worry about Yami, but they find him being cuddled instead. He explains that he first found them when they were babies right after their parents were killed. Having pity for them, he decided to take them under his care. The rest of the Black Bulls arrive and Asta realizes that the monsters are part of the family too, even if they still think of him as food. Zor returns from his nap, just in time for Henry to reassemble their base in everyone's image, featuring a hard rock cafe-style facade, courtesy of Magna. As they tour the base featuring a little bit of everyone's requests, they find that their sleeping quarters were based on Gordon's, which is one big room with everyone in it. Asta is open to sleeping with everyone, just as he used to at Hage, but the others are not so receptive. Henry then brings them to Yami's room, which as the monsters requested is the same cage as theirs. In the end, they decide to go back to the classic Black Bulls base and Yami reminds them of their mission to research the devils. Everything is back to normal, including Asta's daily chores. Yami drags him and Seker along to investigate their first lead of the demon's work, Charlotte's curse. Charlotte is still embarrassed after remembering how close her body was to Yami's during their fight with the devil. Things are made worse when Yami himself appears and Charlotte's brain goes into overdrive, as she has neither the emotional nor mental capacity to deal with being in the same room as him. She tries to signal Saul to get him to leave, but Saul misreads the situation and asks Yami to stay longer. Yami begins asking about Charlotte's curse, which she misinterprets as him remembering her earlier implied confession. She ends up screaming and dashes out like Roadrunner, running away from Wile E. Coyote. In the process, she prevents several crimes from taking place. Charlotte wonders if Yami thinks she is a weirdo and hopes she can have a proper conversation with him. Charlotte assembles the Blue Rose Knights to announce something very important, and is prepared to resign as the captain because she likes Yami. Her announcement is initially met with silence, and she fears that she has lost all rights as a captain. But to her surprise, her members squeal with glee, revealing that several of them have boyfriends of their own. Saul is left speechless. They loudly proclaim their support for their relationship, which they remark is totally like Beauty and the Beast. They begin cheering her on to confess her feelings, and she meekly agrees. At the worst possible moment, Yami shows up and the other knights excitedly push her towards him. However, Yami interprets her earlier outburst as her hating him, and the Rose Knights realize he is an oblivious idiot. In her embarrassment, Charlotte is unable to properly get her feelings across. Yami invites her to talk that night, which she assumes is for a romantic reason. But since Yami is pretty based, all he does is bring up her rose curse and she secretly hates him for getting her hopes up. She explains that the curse placed on her was the result of a mage dabbling in forbidden magic, but that is all she knows about it. She mentions that someone on his own squad has experience with curses, more so than anyone else, Gordon. Yami asks Gordon for information about his family's cursed magic in search of clues about the demons. Although Gordon earlier tried and failed in getting clues to heal Asta's arm when it was cursed by Veto, he feels more confident with his friends now by his side. They arrive at the Agrippa estate, which looks more like Dracula's castle. They meet Gordon's family, complete with a Wednesday Addams lookalike. Gordon introduces them one by one: his father, Nathan, his mother, Jonna, his grandmother, Nylenia, his little sister, Roxanne, and their dog, Nunnally. Over dinner, Gauche and the others are in discomfort at how awkward the dinner is. Nylenia hands Gray a small fleshy eyeball creature, and her face contorts in fear and disgust. When the rest of the Agrippa family leaves, Gordon finally brings up what they came for: the demons. Nathan brings them to his workshop, which he warns them is a hive of curses, poisons, and forbidden magics. He suddenly uses his curse magic to attack Asta, but all he does is take his temperature. He reveals that he redirected the family's inherent curse magic to heal and treat people. Atlo, this only started with his generation. Gordon had no idea because nobody in his family knows how to communicate. Gauche points out he should get rid of all the knives, skeletons, and creepy vials if people want to think of him as a healer. Regardless, Nathan is willing to help them out and wishes to hear the details. Elsewhere, Noel visits Dorothy hoping to learn more about her mother's death, which according to Nozel was the work of a devil's curse. Dorothy transports them both into her dream world, where she conjures an image of a very affectionate Asta from Noel's thoughts. After that embarrassing display, Dorothy elaborates on the curse of Noel's mother, Asir. She explains that devils are ordinarily only contacted through sinister deals or curse magic, but nothing more. But recently, real devils have been spilling into their world, and the devil responsible for her mother's death is Magicula. Nathan uses his cursed oil magic to create a map of the kingdom, which pinpoints the locations of significant curses throughout the country. The bigger the flame, the bigger the curse. They notice that the flame over the Black Bull's base is burning quite brightly, and they wonder if it's because Yami is always constipated. But it is more likely due to Henry. They ask Nathan to expand the scope of his magic, and they find an extremely large flame toward the west. Someone in the Heart Kingdom has made an incredibly powerful deal with the devil. The Black Bulls finally find some leads on the demons, and it is a race against time to clear Asta's name. Black Bulls were trying to find leads on demons and curses to clear Asta's name. They get a clear lead from Gordon's father, called Nathan, who points them to the presence of a large curse in the Heart Kingdom. Asta asks Yami if they can go there to investigate. But there are too many barriers in the way, and if they are caught sneaking in, it would cause an international scandal. To circumvent this, they visit the Golden Dawn to seek out Mimosa, who has ties to a nobility student exchange program, and she agrees to put in an application for them. Meanwhile, Finral visits his brother Langris, who has mellowed down since his defeat. Finral declares he will become a man worthy of Finn's, but Langris pulls him aside. As soon as Finral sees two girls, he instantly hits on them. Langris points out that if he can't keep it in his pants, how is he supposed to be worthy of Finn's? The following day, using Yami's personal boat, Asta, Noel, Finral, and Mimosa set sail for the Heart Kingdom. When they arrive at the Heart Kingdom, they are greeted by Gaja, a spirit guardian. The Heart Kingdom is a 1,200-year-old entity, a land of twisting waterways and trees that coexists peacefully with the citizens who inhabit it. The entire country is protected within the Queen's Mana Zone. Asta is suddenly kidnapped by the Queen, and Mimosa is shocked by this betrayal. Finral helps them chase after him, but when Gaja stands in their way, Noel equips her Valkyrie dress. Gaja remarks that they are first and third stage mages, and he brandishes his unique rune lightning magic. He blasts them with an orbital laser of lightning. However, Finral moves them out of harm's way, allowing Noel to strike back with her water dragon. Meanwhile, Asta finds himself in a strange well surrounded by water knights. He meets the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, the water spirit Undyne. She has a need for his power, and she begins drowning him. In the Heart Kingdom, mages are assigned stages based on their magic power. If Asta is a 9th stage fighter without magic, then fighters like her and Gaja are 0 stage. But with Nero's help, Asta breaks free of the chains binding him, and he goes back on the offensive. Asta attacks using his Kai, but instead of Undyne, he sees a girl named Loropchika, who is the princess and true ruler of the Heart Kingdom. Meanwhile, Gaja apologizes to Noel and the others, saying he only attacked them to get a sense of their magical stages. In magical battles between countries, the strength of a mage matters more than the number. Asta asks Loropchika and Undyne about the curse they detected, but Undyne is confident that Loropchika won't tell them anything. However, Loropchika ends up telling them everything, even showing them her curse, which will kill her in a year's time, which is the reason why they brought Asta here, to use his strength to fight the devil who cursed her, called Magicula. However, before that, she remembers she forgot to water some trees, so she brings up a video feed of the entire country, showing that all of it is under her constant watch and control. Undyne soon dresses her up in her proper garments befitting of a queen, but she mulls over the devil Magicula, who is currently attacking the Diamond Kingdom. Vanessa, Luck, and Magna witness him take out dozens of diamond captains all at once. For the first time, Luck doesn't want to fight. Loropchika soon gathers the visiting Black Bulls, but clumsily falls while addressing them. Undyne picks her up and focuses on the matter at hand. She wishes to use the unique powers of Clover Kingdom mages to help them fight back against Magicula. She remarks that special cases like Asta and Nero are known as arcane stages, who defy the basic concept of magic categorization. In exchange, she will give them any information they desire. Meanwhile, Asta attempts to contact Yami to accept the terms himself, but he is taking the biggest dump of his life, so Mimosa contacts Julius, who agrees to Loropchika's terms. But Magicula is no ordinary devil and is far stronger than the one who attempted to revive the elves. Loropchika plans to invade the Spade Kingdom, where Magicula resides, within 6 months before her power wanes. As such, she wants to amass as much firepower as possible and train them into a fearsome fighting force. Asta and the others reconvene back at base and report to Yami. Luck reports the mage they witnessed wipe out a Diamond Kingdom army, whom they suspect to be Magicula himself. Yami decides they'll just have to train for 6 months until they can beat the devil. The various captains of the Clover Kingdom gather to address the citizens regarding their victory over the Midnight Sun. Owen disguises himself as Julius to fool both the citizens and the king into thinking that the Wizard King is still alive, and definitely not a child. Augustus then takes the stage with Sek now serving as his personal lackey. He gives his usual boring and megalomaniac address, but it is interrupted by Yami and Jack, once again fighting over petty reasons. The citizens murmur over their violence, including rumors about Asta being possessed by a devil. The captains gather into a meeting hall where Charlotte is embarrassed to be sitting next to Yami, but with his usual lack of tact, he guesses she is simply constipated, while Jack thinks she just needs to pee. Julius finally arrives escorted by Damnatio, whom Yami eyes uneasily. Julius then debriefs the captains on what Asta and the others have learned regarding Magicula, including the concept of magic stages and the need to bolster their strength. He plans to cooperate with Loropchika on her attack against the Spade Kingdom within 6 months, and asks the captains to train their subordinates the best they can. Vangeance and the other captains, guilty of their actions while possessed as elves, wish to hand in their resignations, but Julius reassures them that he trusts them all. He then brings in Gelder, the former Orca's captain. He offers to pardon him in exchange for his astute business sense, which will bring more money into the kingdom since repairs cost a lot. In addition, Julius wants to cut the salaries of the captains by half to help beef up their coffers. Everyone except Yami and Jack agree. The two poor captains drink their sorrows away, bitter that the salary cut doesn't affect nobles like Fugolian at all. They challenge Vangeance to a game of cards in hopes of earning some money back, but they are instead stripped of all they have. Asta pays a visit back to Hage aboard Noel's broom with her awful broom handling skills. Along the way he has a childish race with Yuno back into their church, where they are relieved to see Father Orsi has made a complete recovery. He tells them that all the children at the orphanage are gone, because they are all attending a new school that they built with Sister Lily serving as an instructor. The children are all excited to see them again, and especially the Wind Spirit, as one of them yanks her out to play with. When Asta sees Sister Lily again, he promptly proposes to her, to which she responds with a water blast. Noel is distracted by the sudden proposal and crash lands into him. She alongside Nero is introduced by Asta as fellow comrades. Lily then asks them if they'd be willing to serve as temporary instructors, since she believes the children might learn a thing or two from actual magic knights. In true Asta fashion, he removes his shirt and gathers the boys outside for physical training, leaving Yuno behind to play house with the girls, along with Noel and Nero. They are later shown to the New Leaves room where those who have awakened their magic power are being instructed under the tutelage of two nobles, the same nobles who made fun of Asta and Yuno during their Grimoire selection ceremony. They felt bad about how they treated them and turned over a new leaf, dedicating themselves to teaching others. The Grimoire Tower Master, called Drawat, greets Asta and Yuno and says he is proud of all the work they've done. That evening, Asta runs into Nash, who appears to not be attending any classes at the school. But as Nero and the others know, he is not attending because he is religiously following Asta's old training regimen. Asta and Yuno meet each other on the same road they started their journey on many months ago. They still have to get stronger, but for now, they acknowledge that they are still equals on the same starting line. One afternoon, Asta and the Black Bulls are kidnapped by Marioleona, who brings them back to the Yultum volcano region, where they will train like never before amid the sweltering heat. Asta reunites with Leopold, whom he notices has gotten taller, but Asta shows off that he has also become more jacked. But Magna, Luck, and the others are unaware of the concept of mana skin, so one of the Crimson Lions supplements them with a magic item. They are not climbing the volcano this time, they are going to traverse the Yultum underground caves, whose mana density is far more oppressive than the volcanoes. Marioleona warns them that if their mana skin wavers, they will burn to a crisp. Charmy tries to sneak away, unwilling to involve herself in anything that doesn't involve food, but Marioleona tempts her with tales of unique ingredients found only inside the caves, which is enough to motivate Charmy. While Asta and Leopold race to reach the hot springs first, Magna and Luck are scaling the sides of the wall where Luck senses a strong opponent. Gordon watches anxiously as Charmy tries to fish something from a pool of lava, but they instead find Magna and Luck fighting the unseen beast. Noel manages to overtake Asta and Leopold, but in her state of delirium, she ends up imagining Asta in his swimming trunks. After causing a steam explosion out of embarrassment, Noel finds herself attacked by a giant, mutant spider, but Asta and Leopold come rescue her and drive away the monster, which slinks back into the darkness. But Marioleona arrives and explains that the spider they fought has been terrorizing the monsters in the area recently, but it seems to camouflage itself every time a stronger opponent approaches. Thus, she threw them into the cave as bait to lure it out. Fugolian uses the salamander's fire breath to destroy a portion of a wall, revealing an entrance to a dungeon. After reporting the appearance of a dungeon to Julius, investigations reveal that it contains a magical item of great power. An advanced group consisting of Asta, Noel, Leopold, Randall, Luck, and Magna is sent to recover it. The dungeon is laden with trap spells reminiscent of Zora's, but Asta is able to cancel out their effects, while Randall safely detonates them from afar. Luck and Magna blaze on ahead, while Leopold feels the need to improve after Asta, his rival, not only fought a devil but defeated it. He and Randall sense a strange magic, and they set off to investigate. Meanwhile, Asta and Noel punch through most of the trap spells, but he is forced to carry her to safety after a large lava wave comes their way. Leopold and Randall find a mysterious stone gate surrounded by several dormant golems, but the spider from earlier has returned, activating the golems to fight back. Asta, Noel, Magna, and Luck return and report to Mereoleona their findings, including the clearing of traps and the discovery of strange mimics. But Mereoleona notices that Leopold and Randall have yet to return and suspects that they've hit the jackpot. But the pair of lions is being pushed back by the golems, and their attacks seem to keep them only barely at bay. Randall reminds Leopold that he is one day going to lead the Crimson Lions, causing him to discover that he has far greater control of his magic than before. Asta and the others arrive to support him, but Leopold finishes it himself. Harnessing the mana around him, he blasts all the golems in a fiery inferno. Fugolian commends them for making it to the treasure room, while the Magic Knights have already begun to see the fruits of their training. Noel, in particular, notices that the water spell she cast was far more powerful than before. Asta and Leopold present the magic item they were tasked to retrieve to Mereoleona, but she bonks them for burning it to cinders. She sends them back into the dungeon to scour every corner for something worthwhile to bring back. The others are allowed to relax in the hot springs, where Mereoleona tells Noel that she is impressed with her progress, but she is still far from the warrior her mother was. The Black Bulls return home the next day and complain about Mereoleona's Spartan training, and hope that they don't have to see her for a while. They joke that it would be funny if she were there waiting for them at their base. When they open their doors, Mereoleona is waiting for them at their base. Mereoleona brings them to the Crimson Lion's base, where they find that Mimosa and Kirsch were also invited. Fugolian says they have been summoned to perform a task that could decide the future of the kingdom. Enter Teresa, who is celebrating her 15th year as a sister. Their very important mission is to party for her sake. Teresa would have preferred something more low-key, but she could not turn Fugolian and Mereoleona down when they also offered to feed the children. Among the children, Asta spies out Marie, but also sees a familiar-looking face. Teresa chastises a young boy, a magically de-aged gauche, for spying on Marie. Afterwards, Fugolian asks them to perform some party tricks for the occasion. Kirsch looks forward to doing a party trick full of his beauty, but Mimosa says that his whole existence is one big party trick. Mimosa and Noel perform their own routines, but surprisingly, it is Asta's plate routine that draws the biggest reaction from the kids. Teresa pressures Fugolian into performing one too, and left with no choice, he decides to pull an ace from his sleeve, boiling 3 separate eggs at different temperatures. The kids find this boring, so Mereoleona performs her trick, picking them up by their heads and swinging them around. Asta curiously asks Teresa what Fugolian and Mereoleona were like as children, and she replies that the former was diligent and a quick study, while the latter was a wild child that became overpowered on her own. But all great heroes have humble beginnings, as evidenced by how Mereoleona once set herself on fire by accident. The two siblings then begin bickering about their past, resulting in a full-on brawl. Asta and Noel are forced to defend the children, while Mimosa and Kirsch also end up having a sibling brawl. In an instant, Teresa puts an end to all the fights, and as punishment, she bonks her previous proteges on the head. As she leaves, Fugolian and Mereoleona apologetically offer to have another celebration, which she gladly accepts despite their inexperience. Finral shares that he is also cursed to always flirt with women. He asks Asta to help him set his sights on only Finns, and he agrees. Of course, they do it the only way they know how, through a mixer. They invite Rebecca, Karen, and Eliza to another mixer, while Noel and Nero watch from a distance. Finral pretends he has no interest in the party, but this only irritates the girls, especially Rebecca, who remembers him as being obnoxious during the last mixer. But deep down, Finral is in deep pain because, for once, a girl is interested in him, but he must stay loyal to Finns. Out of reflex, he almost brings out a bouquet of flowers, and he barely stops himself in time. On the other side of the room, Sek is also having another mixer, and Noel feels seriously bad for the girls who agreed to see him. When he asks for more drinks, she blasts him with water. Asta and Luck begin hitting it off, and Finral is even more pained he can't join in. But for some reason, Eliza thinks of him as her ideal partner. Meanwhile, Nero is actually getting work done as a barmaid, causing the barkeep to tear up because he has an employee that works for once. But Nero spies some curiously high-ranking magic knights, including a mixer between the Black Bulls and the Blue Rose Knights. Puli of the Blue Roses is trying to help Charlotte make some romantic progress with Yami by organizing a mixer. But when she sees how dense the man is, she is forced to take drastic measures. She gives her advice to be more aggressive and forward and, above all, to initiate physical contact, which Charlotte finds nearly impossible to do. However, over dinner, Charlotte's hand ends up touching Yami's as they both reach for a pepper shaker, so she freaks out and jumps out a window. Trying to resist Eliza's charms, Finral hears her in distress and rescues her, but miraculously he manages to stop himself from flirting. Finns, who was watching in disguise alongside Langris, remarks that Finral's flirtatious attitude is just another part of his kindness. Yami and the others arrive to join Asta and his friends for a party, but the night is still young, and Puli works some of her magic to have Charlotte sit next to Yami. The Black Bulls are back at the beach town of Rak to train. While Noel trains, she hears a faint but familiar sound. Over lunch, Noel is unable to ignore the sound any longer and seeks it out. She follows the sound towards the beach, where she meets Kahono and Kayato, who humbly request their help. They bring the Black Bulls to the underwater temple. The last time they were here, they absolutely clapped Veto of the Midnight Eye. Here, Jifso requests their help in guiding Kahono and Kayato towards an undersea beast responsible for recent attacks. Once there, the pair will perform song and dance to appease it. Yami is hesitant to loan out his squad as some simple security service, but Noel personally offers her assistance, suspecting that a devil might also be at work. But because the mana density is greater the deeper they go, Noel is only able to create a smaller and more condensed sea dragon's cradle, so Yami assigns Finral to go with her, and to bring everyone back in one piece if things go awry. As they begin their descent down below, they are attacked by fishmen, which easily pierce through Noel's cradle. Kahono and Kayato emerge from the bubble to fight back, and Finral immediately opens a portal to send Noel back. However, another attack pops their bubble and they both begin to drown. Noel manages not to panic, and taking a page from the Heart Kingdom, she harnesses the surrounding mana to augment her own, allowing her to form personal cradles for her allies, far stronger than before. They continue their journey until they come across a mighty kraken, but Noel's Valkyrie dress dispatches it with ease. They eventually reach an underground ruin, where they encounter the massive Sea Guardian. Kahono and Kayato manage to calm it, revealing that it was nursing its young, whose sound Noel recognizes from before. When it touches her, she is shown a memory of her mother, who came to visit this same place many years ago. As they return to the surface, Kahono and Kayato thank them for their help, while Yami reminds Finral that he trusts him since he has his own way of fighting. As they head off to prepare a barbecue with the meat they brought back, Noel silently resolves to become stronger and to surpass her mother. Training to defeat the devil is hard work, and eating grilled kraken is also part of that training. And Charmy tests out her new and improved magic food to replenish her teammates' mana, but she is unsatisfied with the results, and as a result, she seeks out the head chef at the royal palace, called Jamo, to study under him. He takes her under his wing as a pupil and tells her to seek out 3 legendary ingredients even he has not seen: the bulb of a mandaradora, a live coelacanth, and the butt hide of a yeti. She returns with all these ingredients and prepares a special feast designed to make her squad mates go Super Saiyan. However, all her dishes look unappetizing and only Asta has the stomach to try and eat it. But before he can, several of the dishes merge into one giant demon meal which begins attacking them all. Finral brings everyone to safety and Yami arrives to tell his squad to kill the demon food, but it begins to slowly drain them of their mana, leaving Asta as the sole combatant. He is hesitant to kill something Charmy worked so hard to create, but she gives him her blessing. He begins eating it and the others' mana slowly begins to recover, and so they all join in eating it together. Jamo then tells Charmy that they have forgotten the very essence of being chefs, to make delicious food. After losing a spar against Asta, Gordon realizes he has weakened. He leaves a note behind for his squad not to look for him and ventures out into the poison forest, just outside the witch's domain. He decides to start training alone just as he did in the past to regain his strength. But his pack is soon stolen by a gang of monkeys, and after 3 days he has weakened even more. He wonders if his friends are thinking about him when he encounters a giant wolf. However, his magic has lost its edge and he is severely injured. He gathers the wooden dolls of the Black Bulls and runs away. Meanwhile, Yami sees a note on a table and tells the bulls that they have to go as soon as possible. The wolves soon find Gordon and he attempts to fight back, but he soon realizes that the wolf was only defending its young. He apologizes and the wolves lead him out of the forest. When he arrives back at the Black Bull's base, he finds it empty and assumes everyone is out looking for him. In reality, Yami took everyone out to a restaurant running a 90% off sale. They never even noticed he was gone. In a flashback, Zara is given flowers by a florist who admires him for being a magic knight. Back in the present, Zora trains on his own after Yami's 3 magic beasts escape. When he returns to his hometown to pay his respects to his father, he notices that someone else has prepared flowers. He happens to see a young boy, Ine, practicing his water magic. But a nobleman's son, Kaido, and 2 of his flunkies begin bullying him for being a peasant. They make fun of his ambition to become a magic knight, but Ine proudly says that the village's very own Zara was one. However, the bullying continues, and when it becomes too dangerous, Zora intervenes with his stink bugs. Ine's father arrives and apologizes for his son's actions, but when Ine wishes he wasn't born a peasant, Zora carries him back to his father's grave and explains that there are some things only peasants can do that nobles cannot. If Ine wants to be a magic knight, Zora says he has to realize what that is. After tending to his father's flower fields, Ine begins practicing again, but Kaido returns with a vengeance, brandishing a powerful magic item to amplify his fire. Zora intervenes again, sending it back with his trap magic and burning a portion of Kaido's shoulder in the process. That evening, Kaido's father barges in and accuses Ine of stealing the magic item, but Ine's father unleashes frighteningly powerful water magic. Kaido's father threatens to call the Magic Knights just as Zora arrives, and points out that Kaido is the thief and he tried to pin the blame on Ine instead. Afterwards, Ine's father reveals that he once tried to become a magic knight himself, but he never stopped training. Ine finally realizes the lesson that Zora wanted to teach him: one thing that peasants can do better: persevere. Zora bids Ine farewell using a stink bug, and as he walks back to the Black Bulls, he thinks of Yuno and Asta, who both have tall dreams. Vanessa fears that her power is not enough to stand up to the devils, so she decides to visit her hometown. Yami invites her for a drink, but she takes a rain check on it for now. Upon reaching the witch's forest, she asks the witch queen to teach her some ancient magic to boost her strength, and the witch queen agrees on one condition: that she drive out the magic beasts interfering with her security golems. The witch queen assigns 2 other witches to help her: Samantha, who is meek and quick to panic, and Elvira, who is prideful and stubborn. When they encounter the magic beasts interfering with the security golems, Vanessa binds one of the beasts and asks her allies to attack it, but she fails to confirm what kind of magic they have. Samantha says she only has sound magic, while Elvira can create illusions. Both are pessimistic about accomplishing their task. Vanessa confronts the Witch Queen again and accuses her of giving her an impossible task, but she replies that she should reflect on why and how she uses magic to begin with. Vanessa runs into Dominante peddling her goods since her husband, Fanzel, cannot find a job due to being a wanted man. She tries to sell Vanessa a magic washboard and says that anything is useful if you use it the right way, which gives her an idea. The following day, Vanessa brings Samantha and Elvira with her to the forest and boosts their confidence by making a doll show for a few children. She then reveals her plan to combine their magic and draw out the magic beasts in the area to another section of the forest. After conjuring lifelike squirrel creatures, they lure the magic beasts away, but they encounter another group of actual squirrels. With their mission threatened to fail, Vanessa quickly conjures a giant monster, and with Samantha and Elvira's help, the lifelike monster scares the beasts away. When they return, they are praised by the other witches who have watched their exploits through the Queen's crystal ball. Vanessa meets with the Queen again and thanks her for instilling in her the realization that the power to change fate was never solely in Rogue's hands, but hers. Before she leaves, she pays a visit to Dominante, who remarks that although the Queen acts cold and aloof, she always seems to look out for them. Vanessa returns to the Black Bull's base, where Yami is waiting for her with a drink, but she takes another rain check, intending to get stronger before getting wasted. Asta and Noel spar with one another, but they feel they are still too weak. Marks arrives with Sally and Makusa, a researcher from the Magic Tool Research Lab. They explain that Sally was asked to help in developing a new tool to aid in the upcoming invasion against the Spade Kingdom. Asta does not hesitate and rips off his shirt, ready to subject himself to any experiments Sally has. But she saves him for last, since he has no magic. Sally escapes from her supervisors to experiment on the Black Bulls, and Marks asks Asta and Noel to chase her. Sally traps Magna in Salamander and administers a mana-enhancing drug, but it is too powerful and makes him explode. She attempts to do the same on the other members, using various means to bait them. Gauche and Gray are caught, but he refuses to fight back because the Salamander looks like Marie. All her experiments fail and she sees the need for more adjustments. Asta and Noel finally find her and he gives himself up for her experiments. But all she does is take a lock of his hair, remembering her promise not to perform harmful experiments on people. However, she is tempted to take a little more from his body. Makusa is satisfied with the research data and Sally begins to think that doing magic for the sake of others isn't a bad idea. Julius sends Marks, Fugolium, and Nozel undercover to the village of Arendum after reports of bandits in the area. When they arrive, they find the village still in shambles after the attack of the Midnight Sun. But the villagers are openly hostile to them, and only upon mentioning the name Kranuvala, Julius alias when he visited the village, do they open up, giving them whatever gifts and hospitality they can afford. They are invited to stay the night, but they are suddenly attacked by the bandits. When they fight back, Nozel's swords undo their disguises, revealing that the villagers were the bandits all along. forced into thievery after not receiving aid for so long. Fugolian and Nozel reveal their disguises, the former promising swift aid, and the latter reminding them that they still need to atone for their sins. When they return to Julius, he hopes that they have learned a little more about the kingdom after witnessing the poverty and suffering firsthand. First and foremost, they are magic knights who defend the people. Years ago, Asta tells Yuno that they are family even though they are not bound by blood. Back in the present, Yuno, Mimosa, and Klaus encounter another group of Golden Dawn knights, led by Electora. Electora is still infuriated that Yuno, a peasant, is quickly rising through the ranks, especially for his accomplishments during the Midnight Eye incident. Vangeance assigns them to another mission to Saucy Village to take care of some bussin' boars. When they arrive, two children, Nick and Anna, wish it were Asta and the Black Bulls instead, which catches Yuno's attention. Electora plans to eliminate the boars outright, but Yuno suggests they investigate why the boars are going berserk in the first place. Electora rebuffs him and tells him to do it on his own. Just as he suspected, Yuno finds a clearing filled with purple fruits, which the boars have been eating. He works with Mimosa and Klaus to calm the boars down by clearing the fruit from all the trees in the area. When they return, the boars have become so docile that the villagers start keeping them as pets. Upon arriving back at the Golden Dawn, Vangeance quickly sends them out on another mission to investigate a dungeon occupied by bandits. Electora is once again placed in command, but when Langris questions Vangeance's judgment, he explains that he wishes Electora would change, just as they have. Electora leads his team to raid the dungeon, splitting themselves into two units. As they rampage through the dungeon, they realize the bandits are enhanced by magic items, but they are still no match for the Golden Dawn. As the two groups reunite at the treasure room, they find Jeopard, a former magic knight, standing in their way. Electora attacks him, but Jeopard's black earth magic is a natural counter to his sand. The Golden Dawn take turns unleashing their strongest spells, but Jeopard's magic base allows him to suck up their magic like it is nothing. Instead, they target the floor underneath Jeopard, causing him to plummet down below while Sylph recovers the magic item. Back at their base, Yuno praises Electora's leadership as meticulous. Electora admits that several of the members of the Golden Dawn initially looked down on Yuno for his peasant heritage, but he now sees the error of his ways and apologizes. The next day, Yuno is invited out for lunch with several Golden Dawn members. Klaus asks him if he is embarrassed, but he denies it. Days before the Midnight Sun's attack on the capital, in the town of Tuliu, Dazu receives treatment from Bo, the town doctor. That night, she makes dinner for her husband, Vide, and her mother-in-law, Meshu. She uses her catalyst magic, the power to borrow magic from others, to heat Meshu's soup. When the Midnight Sun and several reincarnated elves attack, their village is caught in the crossfire, and both Vide and Meshu die in the rubble. As they begin rebuilding the town, Bo approaches Dazu and shows her a newspaper article about Asta's demonic powers, naming him responsible for the destruction of their village. This turns Dazu spiteful. Elsewhere, Kabui, a member of the Magic Parliament, protests Damnatio's decision to stay Asta's execution for 6 months, but Damnatio tells him there is a proper order to things and tells him to leave. Kabui is later approached by Bo and Dazu, who intend to kill the devil responsible with their own hands. Meanwhile, Asta and Noel are training, but Noel gets tired and goes indoors to get a drink. Meanwhile, Gigachad Asta decides to cool down by doing thousands of push-ups. Noel then meets Gauche and Finral, who are also returning from training. Gauche plans to visit his sister in Nîmes, but first decides to take a shower. But in Nîmes, Marie is kidnapped by the Devil Banishers, a group dedicated to the destruction of the devils. Nij, the townspeople, and the children all try to rescue Marie, but they are overpowered. Gauche senses that an angel has called out to him and asks Finral to take him to Nîmes. Meanwhile, Asta loses count of his 10,000 push-ups and decides to start from the beginning. He is distracted by Bo, who pretends to stumble out of the bushes. He rushes to her aid, but she uses a sedative gas to knock him and Nero out. However, Asta's gains aren't just for show and he manages to put up a fight. Noel arrives to help him out, but they manage to fight back and escape. Noel equips her Valkyrie dress and chases after them, and her water bolts successfully stop them from taking Asta. However, Nero is taken. As she tends to Asta, Gauche is horrified to discover that Marie was taken. Kabui and his team return to Bao's house, with both teams having secured Marie and Nero. Although they failed to retrieve Asta, they know he will not awaken for a long time. Gordon and Noel bring Asta to Owen, who confirms that Asta is alive but asleep due to the powerful effects of a sleeping potion. Yami drags Marks in to confirm Asta's condition and to peer into his memories of the attack. Meanwhile, Gauche angrily blames Teresa for being absent when Marie is taken away. He interrogates Nij about what happened, and upon his mentioning of scales, Gauche instantly suspects Damnatio. Asta's memories reveal little, but they learn that the Devil Banishers have comparatively weak magic. Yami's patience wears thin, and he damages a part of the wall in anger. But he hears an even louder crash in the distance. Gauche and Final invade Damnatio's office, demanding to know where Marie was taken. But they have severely underestimated him, and he forces them to kneel. But before the bulls are taken away, Yami arrives to save his dear squadmates. Yami scolds Gauche for getting too heated and causing a ruckus, but Gauche insists that Damnatio kidnapped Marie. He offers to have his memories searched by Marks, which confirms his innocence. But the pressing matter at hand is that they do not know where Marie and Nero were taken. Julius calls and tells them that Nozel is on his way and shows them a signal from Asta's tracking bracelet that has somehow ended up in Tuliu. Yami quickly deduces that Nero transferred it to herself so she could be tracked. Damnatio wants to pass judgment on Ghost right away, but Julius persuades him to let this incident slide. Nozel flies them to Tuliu aboard his Mercury Eagle, and they land right on the outskirts of town. They split up into groups, using several pictures Gauche has of Marie to track her down. They find Tuliu in ruins, which causes Yami and Finral to lament the destruction the Midnight Sun caused. They then encounter Dazu, visiting her family's graves. Yami and Finral try to ask Dazu for information regarding Marie, but she rebuffs them, evidently resentful that no magic knights came to their rescue during the attack on the Tuliu. Noel and Nozel also have trouble finding information for the same reason, while Gauche and Gordon similarly alienate the villagers with their demeanor and appearance. Dazu returns to Bao's house to inform them that the magic knights are on their trail, and they wonder how they were tracked. It is then that they discover the tracker within Nero. They plan to destroy it, but Dazu has another idea. The magic knights regroup outside of town to share their findings, but they notice the tracking signal moving at high speeds. Nozel, Noel, and Gauche take Finral to chase it, while Yami and Gordon stay behind. The Devil Banishers express their discontent with the Magic Knights and consider executing Marie and Nero outright, but Dazu suggests that they keep them alive to lure out Asta, their true target. When Nozel's group finds the tracker, it is around the neck of a bird, infuriating Gauche. Meanwhile, Bo embraces Dazu, whom she considers her light and reason for living. Asta finally wakes up and immediately tries to search for Nero, but Yami grabs him by the face to calm him down. Since they have no information at the moment, they can do nothing but wait for now. A meeting between Julius and the various knight captains is held to plan their next course of action. Damnatio admits that his subordinates were involved with the kidnapping and offers to provide any assistance necessary. He brings up files on the three involved: Kabui, a user of transparency magic, Onobi, who uses barrier magic, and Siona, who can cast paper magic. Their magical abilities aren't particularly strong. Jack remarks that they're not even worth cutting up. When they learn that a sleeping potion was used to take down an excellent fighter like Asta, they suspect an excellent strategist is among them. Jack asks why they haven't executed Nero and Marie yet, and Damnatio replies that they might attempt to use them to set an example for their dissatisfaction with the kingdom. However, Julius tells them to be careful as there is a piece of a puzzle they are not seeing. Meanwhile, in the town of Lehart, a message from the Devil Banishers is scrawled on a wall, announcing the executions of Nero and Marie, herself and Nero in chains, while the Devil Banishers prepare to move their plan forward. The following day, in the town of Lehart, a large mob gathers to watch the executions of Marie and Nero. A team consisting of several Magic Knight squads is standing by, ready to execute their rescue operation. Gauche and Asta are impatient and want to go right away, but Yami holds them down. Crucially, Damnatio asks that Asta not use his devil powers to prevent further panic. Vanessa is approached by one of the Devil Banishers, who threatens to kill their friends immediately if they do not follow them. Left with no choice, she complies and is led away. As noon strikes, the Devil Banishers appear out of thin air and present Marie and Nero to the roaring mob. They threaten to execute them if Asta does not give himself up. Asta appears and approaches them, but he is asked to give up his grimoire. As they lower their guard, the real Asta appears from above to destroy their magic barrier, the other Asta having been Grey in disguise. Finral attempts to rescue Marie and Nero, but Siona drives him off. The other Magic Knights join the fray to capture the Devil Banishers. The Devil Banishers retreat, and Asta chases after them. Meanwhile, Vanessa turns on the Banishers, but they have fulfilled their plan to lure her, who has the power to control fate, away from the stage. Vanessa is horrified when they burn themselves alive. Asta finds the Devil Banishers, but they threaten him to give up his grimoire or they will kill Marie and Nero. Asta complies, but when Kabui wants to kill him immediately, the other cultists oppose him. Asta fights back, and when Siona attempts to cut him down, Yuno comes to his rescue. Realizing they are fighting a losing battle, the Devil Banishers retreat. Yuno reminds Asta that he still has his magic, never giving up. Asta breaks free of his handcuffs with his brute strength. Julius calls another meeting regarding their operation, and Damnatio apologizes for his subordinates' actions. Memories retrieved from one of the members reveal that they were simply paid to be banishers. A panicked messenger bursts in and gives them an audio recording from Kabui. The devil banishers do not want to kill the devils at all, they want to harness their power. They are the devil believers. Hours earlier, the devil banishers gathered at Bo's house to treat Siona's wounds. Kabui wants to kill Nero right away, but Dazu stops him. Suddenly, Siona writhes in pain and dies, and Onobi follows suit soon after. Kabui realizes he has been betrayed, and Dazu explains that they do not wish to kill the devil, but take its power for themselves. They believe that if Asta, who has no magic, can make a pact with a devil to gain more power, then they, too, can become strong. She explains that as a child, she overheard her friends talking behind her back. They were only pretending to be her friends to suck up to the adults, but in truth, they find her catalyst magic weird and creepy. Kabui contacts Damnatio in his final moments to inform them of what has happened. He apologizes for his actions and dies soon after. The Black Bulls are sent back to Tuliu to investigate, and they find the dead bodies of Damnatio's subordinates in the basement. Gordon deduces that the house belongs to someone with acute medical knowledge. They visit Maggie, an old lady whom Gordon befriended, and she says the house belongs to Bao, the town doctor. She reveals that she was also close friends with Dazu. When they inspect Dazu's ruined house, Noel finds a photograph of Dazu and her family. Despite Maggie saying their marriage was a happy one, Dazu's face says something entirely different. Yami wonders why a girl whose family died due to devils would start worshipping one. When they report this information to Julius, they suspect that the believers plan to hand Nero and Asta's grimoire over to the Spade Kingdom and form a contract with Magicula. They are sent to investigate the far reaches of the Forsaken Realm to search for them. However, days pass without any solid leads, and they find it strange that in every village they visit, several villagers have disappeared. Asta, Noel, and Magna overhear a boy rushing to join the devil believers in hope of curing his leg, throwing his mother off in the process. Asta, Noel, and Magna find tracks left behind by the believers, and Yami says that they will be bogged down in the Breed Mountains, which have dense mana fields and harsh weather. Asta and the others eventually catch up to them, but they are shocked to see they have been joined by hundreds of faithful followers. In a flashback, Dazu meets Bo by a bridge. Dazu is fascinated by Bo's skill as an apothecary and begins visiting her regularly. Dazu, Bo, and the other believers lead their new followers through the mountains, where they plan to cross to reach the Spade Kingdom. Nero warns them that trying to cross through the dense region between the two kingdoms is tantamount to suicide. But they reply that they will take any chance at all. With their communications down, Magna takes his crazy cyclone to call for reinforcements, and he tells Asta and Noel to stay put. As soon as he leaves, Asta climbs the side of the mountain, eager to save Nero as soon as possible. Noel asks what his plan is, and he says that if he has a proper conversation with them, they might be able to understand each other. She then uses her Valkyrie dress and helps him ascend the mountain. Dazu and Bo hold hands while overlooking the sunset, remarking that it is just like the time they first met. As they prepare to venture into the magic region, Asta drops in from above. He is revered by the followers as an icon of the devil. He confronts Dazu and Bo and appeals for them to release Nero, since they are unlikely to survive the journey through the magic zone. They know this, but they want to try anyway. Dazu shares how she was ridiculed from the very beginning due to her low magic power and expects Asta to know the same feeling. He tries to remind her of her husband and mother-in-law as people who have accepted her, but she replies that they are no different. Noel asks them what they plan to do in the Spade Kingdom, and they reply that they intend to gain the devil's powers and exact their revenge on the Clover Kingdom. Asta says that even though he had no mana, he strove to serve the kingdom and never despised it. Dazu admires him for this, but they are already hell-bent on their revenge. Asta offers himself in exchange for Nero's freedom, but they are betrayed, as they believe having more gifts for the Spade Kingdom would reap greater rewards. As they approach the border of the magic zone, a flaming star streaks across the horizon. Yami and Magna have arrived. Dazu continues to visit Bo's apothecary, and after confiding in her domestic troubles, a romance between them blossoms. Yami tries to talk with the believers, but they refuse to listen. Asta uses a lapse in their attention to escape, taking Noel and Nero with him. Yami frees them, but the believers continue anyway since the 5-leaf grimoire is still in their possession. Nozel, Fugolian, and Cobb arrive to try and reason with the followers, but the crowd desists and they send their magic to Dazu. A giant ice monster appears, which Nozel suspects was attracted by Dazu's catalyst magic, drawing mana from the nearby region. As it begins to cause destruction and havoc, the various magic knights work together to defend the civilians, while the captains make snow cones out of the beast. The devil believers and their followers are in awe of their power, and they despair of any chance of making it out alive. But they explain that they are not here to arrest them, but to talk. Cobb opens a portal, which Vengeance and Damnatio walk through. They try to ask for time to respond to their cries for help, but they distrust his words since the Magic Knights are made up of nobles. Yami speaks up and shows that his squad is made up nearly entirely of misfits. He himself is a foreigner, so he understands what they are feeling. The captain asks for time for them to bring aid, which pacifies the followers. But the devil believers are another story, and Damnatio prepares to execute his judgment. For their crimes, they are exiled from the Clover Kingdom. They refuse Cobb's portal and insist on walking to Spade Kingdom on their own. Dazu returns Asta's grimoire, and he promises to change the Clover Kingdom's ways once he becomes the Wizard King. She smiles and wishes she could have been more like him. As the believers begin venturing into the magic zone, Dazu recalls the deaths of her husband and mother-in-law, and how she purposefully left them to die. At any cost, they want to reach the Spade Kingdom and attain for themselves the powers of a devil. Nero remembers that centuries ago, Lumiere was hard at work creating a device that could end discrimination due to differences in magic power. She laments that even after 500 years, recent events have shown that little has changed. The Black Bulls report to Julius about their run-in with the devil believers. After hearing their report, Marx connects them to Loropchika, who says preparations for their training with their spirit guardians have been completed. But before she can finish, she suddenly collapses. Yami takes Asta and Finral with him to rush to her aid, while Julius asks Nero to remain. But when they enter the Queen's palace, they are dismayed to learn that Loropchika collapsed because of a stomachache, not a curse. Yami feels stupid for worrying and forces Finral to make another portal for him to go home. She tries to debrief them on their training, but she realizes her glasses are missing. She explains that due to her clumsiness, she routinely breaks her glasses. After searching for it, she learns it is in the hands of Mugi, a beaver who frequently visits her palace. The beaver rug that Loropchika sleeps on is actually alive, which also happens to be the mother of Mugi. She is aptly named Big Mugi. Asta offers to find her glasses and return it to her. Finral and Noel both fail to grab the beaver, but Asta successfully captures it after he lures it in with fish, which he exchanges Loropchika's glasses for. However, when they return to the palace, Loropchika breaks the glasses again. Dajo arrives with a set of new glasses, allowing her to finally make her announcement. Loropchika explains that the spirit guardians took longer than expected to prepare because she wanted them to be in peak condition, and because they can only take on a few pupils at a time. Meanwhile, Julius has Nero unlock a special room he lost the key to. Inside, Nero recognizes Lumiere's old notebook, which contains his designs for a magic transferal device. Julius says he has already sent its design to the Magic Tool Research Lab, and a prototype is on the way. This comforts Nero, who remarks that someone is alive to carry on Lumiere's will. Gray wants to overcome her intense shyness, so she turns to Noel for help. But Gray's shyness is worse than she possibly imagined because she can't even look her in the eye. Gordon tries to help by having her practice in front of his handmade dolls, which works at first as she imitates Asta's demeanor, but even this proves too much for her. Gray instead goes to Gauche, who agrees to help only if Gray transforms into Marie, and says lines like "I love you, big brother." Ghost traps her inside a mirror cage full of his faces, which fails to work. Instead, he hypnotizes her to have a turtle's demeanor, unfazed by the people around her. Gray is miraculously able to look at Gauche in the eye and walk through town like normal. Gauche has Gray make good on her promise, but she reverts to her old self when he gets too close. He asks why she can't just transform since it doesn't make her shy, but she says that is not her true self. Gauche says that is ridiculous. No matter what, she is always Gray. Meanwhile, Charlotte and the Blue Roses have a break after a strenuous training session. They take this opportunity to ask Charlotte if she's been on any dates lately with Yami, which she says she hasn't. Pulley says that this current feeling of impending doom is the perfect time for romantic advances. Charlotte refuses to entertain such thoughts any longer and goes right back to training. But the other Blue Rose Knights have an idea and suggest that they have a joint training session with the Black Bulls. Charlotte entertains the idea. She is called to a meeting between the magic captains, and she encounters Yami along the way. She tries to ask him to agree to a joint training session, but she ends up tripping, and Yami catches her as she falls. She gets embarrassed and runs away again, causing her to miss the meeting. When Julius learns of her plans for a training session, he gets a bright idea to raise the morale of both the Knights and the Clover Kingdom. He'll have the magic captains fight each other. Julius organizes a match against two teams of magic knight captains. On one side, Kaiser, Nozel, Yami, and Jack. On the other hand, Fugolian, Charlotte, Vengeance, and Dorothy. Vengeance pulls out all the stops and summons a gigantic world tree, but Yami's team are ready to intercept it. After an initial clash, Fugolian's flame separates the two teams, foiling Jack's attempt to attack Dorothy and Charlotte. In the aftermath, Yami and Jack decide to head into the forest, leaving Nozel and Kaiser to defend their crystal. Soon after, Fugolian drops from Salamander to assault them. Jack senses Charlotte and Vangeance hiding behind a tree, and a battle erupts between them. But the two grow tired of being hit with cheap shots from out of their field of vision, so they do the reasonable thing and destroy the forest around them. Vangeance summons another world tree, and as Yami and Jack scale it to attack, Dorothy kidnaps Yami into her glamour world. Yami tries to have Dorothy summon a hot spring in some sake, but he is disappointed to learn she cannot imagine things she does not know about. Instead, she creates a clone of him to attack, but he is dismayed to learn that Dorothy's cognition of him is some country bumpkin with a Texan accent. Meanwhile, Nozel traps Fugolian and his salamander within a silver star of execution, augmented by Kaiser's vortex magic. Kaiser wants to get back at Fugolian since, even when he was enhanced by the elves, he could not beat him one-on-one. Fugolian turns up the heat, slowly melting away at the cage. He causes a steam explosion underneath them, evaporating the entire lake. He manages to land a blow on their crystal, and Nozel is forced to fall back. Nozel survives an attack by Vangeance thanks to Kaiser's help, and with Jack's help, they attempt to mount a counterattack against the remaining captains. They combine their magic to crush Fugolian, but the Crimson Lion's captain announces to those watching that there is nothing his flames cannot burn. Meanwhile, Yami defeats a clone of himself, but Dorothy simply summons several more. He is suddenly hit by the glamour world's drowsiness effects, but he manages to keep himself standing. He decides to just exceed his limits and performs his Dark Cloak Dimension / Equinox, cutting through both the clones and the glamour world itself. Later, Julius praises the captains for an excellent fight, and finds it hilarious that Yami's attack destroyed both teams' crystals, ending the match in a draw. He is confident that the match served to raise the morale of not only the citizens, but also the Magic Knights themselves, who now know that their kingdom is being guarded by capable people. Yami takes Asta and Noel to Kika for the annual Magic Knights entrance exam, but they notice that there are few participants this year due to the attack by the Midnight Sun. As Yami, Finral, and Gordon go off to join the other captains, he tells Asta and Noel not to cause any trouble. Asta and Noel reminisce about their own entrance exam, and are excited at the prospect of having a new member join the Black Bulls they can be seniors to. Just like before, anti-birds flock to Asta, making him a laughingstock. Noel encounters Nozel, and she thanks him for putting her in the Black Bulls, a place where she has found a family of her own. Nozel is proud of Noel's growth, and knows that she can become stronger. The exams soon begin, with Vangeance presiding. He uses his World Tree magic to create brooms for the first test. Noel remembers watching Asta fail this particular exam, but acknowledges that he has grown stronger. Likewise, Noel praises Noel's gradual improvement of her magic control. Asta notices Yuno watching the exam as well, suspecting that they both had the same idea of reigniting the reason they became Magic Knights. As the two reaffirm their promise to each other, they part ways. When the exam concludes, Asta and Noel eagerly ask if Yami recruited someone new. He says that he found someone interesting, but they chose to go somewhere else, which means Asta and Noel are still at the bottom of the barrel. They return back to base, where they have prepared a celebration for Asta and Noel's first anniversary of joining their squad. As Asta goes through the door, he and Yuno grasp at the sky. Although their paths have differed, their promise has always been the same, to become the Wizard King. That's all for today. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Until next time.